Okay. Well, welcome everybody. This is Branding Munki. Okay, well, okay. Well, welcome to Branding Munki and Monkey Report. Before I get into the actual presentation, I'm John. I'm from Grove Technologies. We're a sponsor. We're down on the main sponsor level. If you guys have any questions about the conversation that we're going to have today, feel free to ask me at the end of the presentation. If we don't have enough time to get to all the questions, you're more than welcome to stop by the table and just ask and pick my brain. The computer that I brought for today's presentation had some preloaded scripts and things that I was going to cover. Luckily, they're in the slides as recorded video, so you'll still get to see them in action, but it won't be in real time. So at the end, I'll be able to pull out the laptop and actually demonstrate the scripts and things in real time as well. Please remember to give me feedback for the presentation in the feedback section of the PSU website. You'll likely get a feedback request in your email as well. This is helpful for not only me, but also the people that run the convention. Be gentle. This is my first time speaking at the Mac Admins Conference. I've been coming here for a long time as an attendee, just like yourself. And then a couple of years ago, we started sponsoring the event. Just trying to give back to the community. The goal here is to provide some tips, tricks, and scripts that we've written for use internally and share those with the rest of the Mac community when it comes to Munki customization, and the branding of the overall Munki experience. How many people, a show of hands, already use Munki in a production environment? How many people have already attempted to or already do some level of branding with Munki? Great. And how many just use out of the box, no branding? Okay, awesome. So the majority of you are going to be familiar with a lot of the core concepts that we're talking about. We're going to talk about the Munki rebrand script, which is the core script that most people use when actually, changing the icon and modifying the appearance, the name. But we're going to take it further. We're going to show you how to change a lot of the underlying interface, the icons on the top, and the functionality throughout the managed software app. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about branding and why it's so important. Today, a lot of IT system administrators don't really fully understand or appreciate the concept of branding. When you brand the application or a system that you provide to your application, it sparks a feeling and emotional tone. Branding has power to pass along a lot of feelings. One of the core feelings is trust. Building that brand, that relationship with your customer, with your user, fosters an environment of trust. There's a lot of things that go into the psychology of trust. Elements like safety, security, stability are all things that are portrayed in a good and positive brand. You all have employers or are yourselves employers, and so you want to pass your brand along, your core values and your beliefs. That's critical for fostering that environment of trust. This is something that Apple has done really well as a brand. It inherently expects its developers and administrators to embody and personify its core values when using their products. And that's why it's so critical that the users of Macintosh computers who already inherently trust the Apple brand also get the same feeling of trust when it comes to the applications that you use to manage them. Your school, university, or creative agency wants its users to be productive, and the best environment for that is a safe and trusted one. And so the brand that the IT team brings and its ability to personify that brand is key when it comes to building trust and confidence between yourselves and your users. Went a little fast on that one. Okay. Yep. Software management, patch management, and preference management, whether it's done via an MDM, whether it's branded or not branded, is a sensitive process that has undertones of mistrust threaded all the way through it, right? Hey, you know, we're watching, we're controlling your computer, we're managing it, and if the end user knew the abilities that we have to push software or make changes, track the computer, lock it down, a lot of those things bring with it these connotations of mistrust, right? Well, we're not doing it because we don't trust you. We're doing it because, we know accidents happen, we know things happen, and that's why we're doing these things. But what we've learned is that engaging the end user rather than hiding things from them is the best method of garnering overall user experience and trust, and that's why the Managed Software Center is a user-facing portion of the Munki system, right? We want the end user to engage with the platform, but we don't want them to be put off by the appearance, and we want to make sure that when they use it, they feel like it's a trusted source of resources that you've given them. When you use an open source or free tool, it can sometimes convey unintended messages that can hurt your ability to ensure overall adoption. And that's really what we're talking about. Making sure that we can use the tools that we know are great, that we know are trustworthy, and convey that trustworthiness, which will ultimately lead to acceptance and overall user adoption. All right, so Munki and Munki Report are two of the best tools made for the software patch management for the Mac platform, open source, in my opinion anyway. It's well supported, they're free, easy to manage. Branding these tools brings them to the next level. Suddenly you can refer to them by names like the Penn State University's Managed App Store. That conveys a certain element of professionalism, welcomes in the values personified by the university, and brings an added level of comfort to the users. Now they know this is a sanctioned tool, it's a trustworthy tool, and they should be following the directives within the tool. Now that we've covered the core concepts of branding, let's talk about how to brand these tools. Each tool has branding or theming undertones. Some are robust, others not so much. Let's start with Munki. Let's walk through the process of creating an app icon for Munki in the Managed App Store. How many already have an icon created? How many people, that process is kind of like a mysterious process, right? We all can download a picture and we can make that the icon, but it doesn't look great. So we're going to talk about how to take the icon in its current state and actually turn it into something like this. Okay. So the icon that I'm showing you here was actually created with a free template that I've linked to in the presentation. Having an icon is obviously required and is part of the rebranding process, so let's talk about how that works. So in this slide, we're talking about we're downloading the template. I found an icon picture of the Penn State logo. I'm selecting it, and I'm just going to be cutting it into the template. So this template is already downloadable and free. Resizing the layer, and we can show you how to do this in real time after the presentation is over. And we're just going to crop that so that it fits within the circle, and then we're going to save it. So it brings that round shape that we all know and love for Mac icons, keeps the drop shadow, keeps the border, and at the end you end up with an icon that looks just like this. So again, I linked to it in the slide. Slides are available to download at the end of the presentation. We're saving this as a PNG, and that's because we want to keep the transparency within the app icon itself. And then once we save it, that's the file that we're going to use to reference with the Munki rebrand script. And as you can see, there it is. So feel free to download that as a resource and use that to Rebrand Munki. We'll talk about how to use that application icon in a second. Munki comes with a subsystem, right, that lives in the user local Munki portion of the user's computer, and the Managed Software Center is the user front end with all of its Munki icon glory. Munki out of the box has the ability to add banners, customize the sidebar and footer of any section. Per Munki's own documentation, it says, while you can officially customize anything in Managed Software Center app, the most common customizations and the only ones officially supported are for template files. And the three files that they're talking about here are the showcase template file, the sidebar template file, and the footer template file. How many people have already actually customized those three files? Great. So the script that we're going to be talking about today is actually going to take it further. We're going to further customize beyond those things, but I'm just going to do a quick overview of how to customize with those three files. While it's possible to customize any of the other template files, or even likely, even though it's possible, it's likely that if you do try to modify any core file within Munki, it's possible that those files will be changed and any further customizations will be broken within your application. So that's the official line that Munki and its creators have created, because there's a lot that you can do to customize, but it's sort of at your own risk. What we've developed is a way to customize Munki in a repeatable method that takes the danger aspect out of the equation and helps reproduce those steps as you're building Munki from version to version. So let's talk about the code needed for the showcase.html file on this slide. So the showcase file has the JavaScript that talks about the carousel that goes in the showcase file. Then we got the function that actually shows the slides. And then down below we have the function that allows the user to toggle from back and forth from the previous slide to the next slide. And then of course I have to move my mouse over to scroll through the code. Here we go. And then this is the code that actually shows the click-through function that actually allows the user to click through. And I have to scroll again because it's a long piece of code. And then finally the bottom portion of the code, which actually lets you put in the custom slides. So a lot of people have already gone through and customized this code, but this is where you would go, and this portion of the code is actually what you would change to reference your slides in your pictures. So when you're looking at the source, the custom resources, and then the picture, that's the slide image, and then the link that you want to use to actually open when you click on the slide is referenced within the lines 50, 51, and 53 in the href, and you can see that the target blank with apple.com is actually going to open that up in an external browser, and then anything opening with Munki in the prefix ://Munki : that's going to open up a HTML file or the application app within the Managed Software Center system. All right, so the Munki sidebar. The Munki sidebar is the code that we use to modify or add links to the sidebar of Managed Software Center. And as we can see here, the template out of the box comes with the ability to add some different links. And you can customize those. It also gives you the ability to add a custom selector. So this is like a drop-down menu that lets you list all the different categories that you've created. And then I gotta scroll, there we go. And then down here, we have the ability to add even more custom links to the sidebar. All right, so here's how we take the sidebars and the showcase files and the slides that we have or that we've created. We have them in a resources folder here. We have the templates folder, which has the 3 files that we've been talking about, the showcase, the footer, and the sidebar. In the footer, we didn't really cover all that much because it's just more of the same as what you're seeing in the sidebar and in the showcase file. We'll go ahead and open it up so you can see what it looks like. And this is my core code for the showcase template. And we're going to take these 3 files, we're going to take the resources folder, and we're going to bundle them together in a zip file so that we can distribute these resources to our clients or to our users that have the Munki system. So the command that you use to zip these files together, zip-r site default, which is the default terminology for the actual resource package. And as you can see here, we're using a custom location for our client configs in a folder called non-core, and we use a different folder name for each different client. As you can see here, we're using this URL, which is pointing the client to the resources, and we're using site default as the client identifier, which is why we're using site default as the zip file name. If you have a different client identifier and you want Munki to automatically configure or to pick the right resources for that user, then you should match the name of the zip file to whatever your client identifier is. You can always override that too, by the way. It's not a requirement that you do that, it's just best practice. So when we add that resource, what we're basically doing is we're creating the slider at the top with the custom graphics. We're creating the categories on the side with the custom links and the footer on the bottom. Now what we're seeing here is a completely different interface, and we're going to talk about how we got from the top Managed Software Center to the bottom Managed Software Center, where we got the cool flat buttons and the different icons. That's going to be the next part of the conversation. But as you can see here, many of the elements are in the unmodified version of Munki. Show the buttons as being smaller. The top level icon bar hasn't yet been customized, so we're going to talk about how to do that. You can see we've already talked about the slides, so those are different. And the background colors, the button colors, and the overall background color of the Managed Software Center are completely different. And even the functionality of the categories, as you're going to see when we go into the category section, is actually going to be largely different as well. Okay. All right, so we have a script. This is the link to it that basically takes the Managed Software Center as it is currently, as you saw in the previous slide, and it brings those theming elements to the application. So this gives you the ability to change icons. At the top of the script, we have the ability to modify the name of the application, the working directory that the Munki theme script is where it's located, the sign certificate name. When you guys when you guys use Munki, do you build Munki? How many people build Munki using Xcode and sign with your own certificate? Okay, so this is great. How many people have Xcode installed on your computer? All right, great, awesome. So you're already halfway there. So what this does is if you have an Apple developer account, or if you have the ability to get a certificate to sign your package, which is important these days. Signing packages is another element of trust that we are talking about, right? We want to make sure that a package doesn't have to be distributed to an end user where they have to right click on it and open it because it's from an untrusted developer. So if you aren't already an Apple developer or have access to an Apple developer account, I would highly recommend doing so. But this is where you would put your installer certificate sign code identifier, and then the icon name. So this is the name of the icon that we created when we actually generated that in the Photoshop file. Okay. So what this script does is it downloads Munki, compiles it, and then uses our script to inject CSS code, JavaScript code, and modify a lot of the core functionality of the app so that we have the custom icons on the top, the custom background colors, the flat UI buttons, and it brings the functionality of having an actual list of categories on the sidebar of the categories page, which is something that doesn't happen by default in the Managed Software Center app without customization. So we'll step through all of the different things that it does together. It's a long script, but it automates the entire process. All right, so it clones Munki. Then, as you can see here, it makes the necessary permission changes to the Munki core base.css file. And again, modifying the core base.css file per Munki's instructions is not supported or sanctioned. However, by doing it in this way, we're creating a standard, repeatable, and safe method of making the change. And the only change that we're really adding is we're referencing a custom.css file within the base.css file. So we're adding all of our code in a separate file that's not contained within the Munki system. We're simply adding one line of code to the base code, the base.css code. And that's what we're doing here. We're actually using the echo command to import that custom CSS into the base CSS, which references that file within the Munki system. Then what we're doing is we're copying the elements from the theme folder that is, again, available by going to our Munki theme. And then we're removing and replacing the MSC HTML.Swift file, which adds a lot of extra functionality to the table. Now this is where it gets a little dicey because we at Grove have to make sure that we actually do a code comparison every time that there's a release. And what we've seen is 99% of the time there is no code changes, and there haven't been for over 3 years. But just to be safe, we always do a code comparison, and we only release a version of our script that matches the version that is supported by Munki, right? So it's always going to work. And then we're going to start a channel in the Mac admins Slack area where we're going to fully support this, and this is just being rolled out today. All right. Then we're using Perl here, and we can actually see that this is an example of how you can actually modify the core UI of Managed Software Center by using a Perl command. So what this does is it actually sets a limit on how big or how small the window for Managed Software Center can be, and we just did this as a proof of concept so other developers could kind of use this as a template to change other plist values within the Swift program without having to actually open it up post or pre-compile step when you're generating Munki or creating the Munki package. And then down here, what we're doing is we're changing the menu bar, right? So we're actually removing the core menu bar icons, and we're replacing them with icons that we like just a little bit better. And we're keeping the naming structure and the naming convention so that it's easier to compile. It's going to throw a lot less errors, and it reduces the need to do further customizations. And everything in the script is modifiable. So if you don't want to modify the icons, or if you don't want to modify the screen size, you can simply remove that line or comment it out. And then finally what it does is it goes into the Munki directory. It runs make Munki package, which generates the actual package code and outputs the installer that you can distribute. And then it clones Munki rebrand. And then it runs Munki rebrand against the package that you just created. So we've modified Munki, we've created the template, the look and feel that we've liked, and then we use the variables at the top to run Munki rebrand, change the icon file, and then we're actually using Munki rebrand's ability to digitally sign the package as well with our certificate. So this is the process in action. So we're cloning the Munki theme program down. Then we're going to execute the script after we modify the variables at the top, just to make sure that those variables are correct. They are. And we're going to run the script from within the Munki theme folder. We're going to make it executable. And we're going to run it. And that's going to download and start to compile all of the changes. You can see here that it's building the package, and it's already made the modifications that were outlined in the script. It's building Managed Software Center. This takes a minute or so. Once it's done, it'll ask you for the package version name that the script output, so that it can be signed and customized by Munki rebrand. Just wait for that. There we go. It's building Munki status. So for those of you who have never actually gone through the process of building Munki from scratch, this takes the guesswork out of that equation, because it automatically clones and will build that package for you. All the customizations that we're talking about need to be made before the actual Munki package is built. So this is the version of Munki tools that were generated. We're just going to copy that. So I'm actually just going to install the core version of Munki tools, just so you can see that it hasn't yet actually been rebranded, right? It's still Managed Software Center. It's still got the Managed Software Center name. Still got the icon. And when we launch it, we'll see a lot of the core systems have been changed. The software icons, the categories, the background colors, everything has been changed and modified. But it just hasn't been rebranded yet. Still the same name, same old icon. So we're going to copy that file name, paste it in. And now it's actually going to rebrand. And it outputs the file in the rebrand folder. So I'm just going to install that. That installs, replaces the old version as you saw, replaces it with the Grove, which is what I chose as the app name. Icon is changed, name is changed, and now we have a fully modified and rebranded version of Munki Managed Software Center rather, and everything follows the parameters set forth in the script that we created. The goal, the hope, is that we'll be able to get more developers to create more unique themes that we can add into our script so that we can actually give people the option to choose different styles of themes. And to also show people and sort of demystify the process of actually modifying the way that Munki looks at its core. A lot of paid software solutions use Munki at its core, and in doing so, okay, do I have this on a loop? Yeah, I do. Okay, well, I'll just let it go for a second. A lot of paid software solutions use Munki at its core, and a lot of them make a lot of money by modifying the appearance of Munki and then selling it to people. So this is basically the same idea. We're just making it look a little bit cooler, a little bit more on trend with a flatter UI. And that hopefully that will garner a little bit more usability, and that will help overall user adoption. Okay, so what did the script actually do? I think I already covered a lot of this, but it replaced the top menu icons with the ones that were more desirable. It changed the logo, it changed the name of the application, and then it added a bunch of CSS elements. There we go. Yeah, so those are the modified areas. All right, so now I want to pivot from Managed Software Center to Munki Report. At the top of the conversation, I asked how many people use Munki in a production environment. How many people also use Munki Report? Great. So Munki Report is customizable as well. It's not as customizable as what we're seeing with Managed Software Center. And primarily it's because the overall templating features of Munki Report are sort of new in the version 3/4 iterations of Munki Report. But there are still some things that we can do. So let's talk about some of those things. A lot of people will ask, well, why even bother branding Munki Report, right? It's an internal admin-only tool. Typically, it's not something that the end user uses. But overall, the administration, your superiors, your bosses, they may want to see a report, and they may feel more comfortable seeing something with the Penn State logo on it. And so we'll just talk about how that works. Munki Report has the ability to set a custom company name within its env preference file. How many people are using version 4 of Munki Report? Okay, so if you haven't switched to version 4 changed the configuration file from the settings file to a hidden .env file. It's a lot easier to work with, and this is sort of a rundown of how to change the logo. All right, so within this slide, what we got going on here is a CSS file that we have referenced within the environment file. The environment file has a variable that I'll let you choose a path for a custom JavaScript file and a custom CSS file. We've pointed the CSS file to that variable to this CSS file, and what the CSS file does is it actually overrides a lot of the default styling for Munki Report. It adds some custom fonts that we see here at the top. And basically what it does is it changes the name convention that we see at the top. This is what you would see if you didn't use any custom CSS, and down at the bottom is what you would see if you do use custom CSS. You'll see here that our CSS actually modifies the look and feel of the logo font face. It actually allows us to add some pseudo element imagery to the before and after the logo itself, and it also hides the version number so that it's less likely to be hacked. Not less likely, but at least the people that are maybe trying to get into your site, if it's public facing, if it's not, that's great. But having the version number front and center is never a great idea on the login screen, so our CSS code actually hides that as well. And you can see here that it also modifies the logo within the dashboard of Munki Report as well. And we're just using the dark theme here. This isn't anything that our CSS file did. This is just the theme that comes out of the box with Munki Report. And there you go. So those are the differences. And this is the process that we took to actually execute that. So I'll actually show you how to modify the env file. So we're going into our web server. We're going into our Munki Report system. We're going to modify the core env file. And these are all the variables. I know it's super easy to read. There we go. That's the CSS variable I was talking about, custom CSS. And we have that pointing to custom CSS file. So I took away the customizations briefly so you can see what it would look like without the customizations. Logging into Munki Report, you can see here it's not modified, it's not customized. And then going back into the server, remodifying that file, adding that code back in. And the idea here is that there's a lot of other elements that you can override by just using regular CSS. It's just a website, so it's easy to override CSS using the custom CSS file. And this is just one method of doing that. So you can see here that I added the code for the custom font faces, and we're doing pseudo elements to change the appearance of different divs and tables within Munki Report using after and before. And that actually lets us put icons and logos and trademark symbols before and after. And then it also just gives Munki Report a little bit more of a user-friendly mobile interface. So we got the sign-in button that actually spans the entire width of the text inputs, and then of course the logo is also modified within Munki Report. And also, yeah, it also changes the fave icon too, which is a nice little extra tidbit that always annoyed me, that I had to live with the Munki Report fave icon, but it's up there in the menu bar. And again, my core CSS code is available for review, so you can download it, look at it, use it as a template, play around with it, and point your Munki Report setup to it. All right. Obviously, there's a lot more that we can do with Munki and Munki Report, Munki core system, and managed software update. The goal, like I said before, is to take what we've built, release it to the community, and then hopefully we get a lot more people using it, playing around with it, modifying it, and creating custom themes for it so that other people can sort of benefit from this system. And now that is the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to take some questions. I kind of ran through it a little bit faster than I originally had thought I would, because I'm a first-time speaker and I'm a little nervous. So I'm going to turn on this microphone now. Remember how to do that. And we'll pass it around. Did I do it right?
Looks like it.
Okay. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Yeah. throw the box over.
I have a question about Munki and
Uh-huh.
your script and the rebuilding process. So it
Sure.
sounds like the prerequisites are I need to have Xcode,
Have to have
I
Xcode.
have to have a developer account and a cert.
You don't have to have a don't have to have a developer account, but it's built in to use that. If you don't want the certificate portion of the script to be used, all you have to do is in the line within the script where the Munki rebrand command calls for the script, we just remove that script portion of that command.
Okay.
And I can show you what that would look like, but I don't actually have live code on this
That's fine.
laptop. I have another laptop, though, that I'd be more than happy to show you how to make that very simple modification. The whole point of this system is to be modifiable, to use the script as sort of a template. Was there any more?
Yeah, the more about how often should I expect to have to do this? Should I expect to do this every time Munki itself is updated?
So we made it so that it can be used in that way, yeah. So whenever Munki comes out with a new version, which seems to be pretty often these days, we run this script against it. We test internally just to make sure that all the core systems that we've heavily modified are the same, and then we put that up into the Git repo. So you would always want to check the script repo just to make sure that there aren't any changes that also correspond to the new version of Munki. And if there isn't a new release to the script, you might want to reach out to other people before just trying it out. But we always test internally any new release of Munki for a good week to a week and a half before we actually release it into the wild anyway. And so that's our recommendation.
Okay.
Anything
And then
else?
the resulting package you'd then push out via Munki itself to
Yeah.
get to the endpoints. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And we actually have a version of the script too that we didn't release, but it was for the older version of Munki, the pre-Swift Munki. So if anyone relies on the older version of Munki to manage systems that are not supported by the newer version of Munki, I can also make that code available as well. Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, ready?
So for the Munki report for
Mm-hmm.
customizations, are those changes retained through upgrades, or do they need to be recreated in each new version?
They carry over. As long as you're using version 3 or version 4 already, then any environment variables that are supported in those two versions will continue to just carry over. So all the modifications that we're using are just referenced within the settings file or the .env file. So we're not actually creating any core modifications. Munki has those two custom CSS, custom JSS variables, so you can put whatever you want in those files. As long as the paths to those files don't change as you're upgrading Munki, you should be fine. Anything else? Any other questions? We're still got 32 minutes, so I'm just gonna stay in here for the remainder of the time, and if you guys need any, if you guys want to see the script in action in real time, I have everything working on my laptop. I can show you how that works, and if there's no other questions, then thanks for coming.